My definition of success changed through the years to doing what I want, when I want, where I want, with whomever I want, as much as I want, in a way that hopefully also benefits other people simultaneously. That to me is ultimate freedom, that's success. That was my idea of success, and I'd had that in my life, and I wanted it again. So I thought, okay, what I need to learn is there are all these things you can do. There's this and this and this, all these different elements you can study. I want to know one thing. What's the one thing, if you just work on that, everything else will fall into place? What is the number one key to all success? That's all I want to know. So I went around and I started studying it. I started picking up books. And have you ever done this? Have you ever asked yourself a question, picked up a book, opened maybe the middle of the book, and there's the exact answer you were looking for? How many have had an experience like that? So here I am, and sure enough, I'm reading through this book, and I open it up. Whammo! It says the number one key to all success is. Almost the very way I had languaged it in my head. So I thought, sure enough, here it is, goal setting. I figured that's true. Because if you don't have a goal, you have no reason to use your skill or ability. I heard that old phrase that said, well, a man without a goal is like a ship without a rudder. They both end up on the rocks. Kind of corny, but true. I thought, that is it. The number one key to success is goal setting. Of course, I'm a good student, so I always read another book. The second book says, forget goal setting. Goal setting is nice, but that is not it. You can set goals to your blue in the face. What you've got to learn to do in your life is manage your time. Because you can have great goals, but if you don't manage your time, time is the only resource you can control. It is your life. I thought that's true. The number one key to all success, time management. Of course, then I read a third book. It said, forget time management, forget goals. The whole key to it all is discipline. You can play with your time management all day long, but if you can't discipline yourself, you've got nothing. But that's true, it's discipline. Till I read the fourth book, which says, forget discipline, forget time, and forget all this stuff. It's all belief. Because if you're disciplined but you don't believe it's going to work, it won't. Or even if it does, you won't see it working. Now, by the way, which one of these is truly the number one foundational key to all success? That's right, they all are. In fact, the list doesn't end here, does it? So that got me frustrated. I thought, God, how do you work on all these things simultaneously? I want to know the one thing that if you worked on this alone, everything else would fall into place. And I searched, and I searched, and I interviewed people until one day I came across the number one key to all success in life. If you're interested, you might want to write this down. Only if you're interested in the number one key to all success in life. If not, don't bother to jot it down. The answer I came up with, the number one key to all success is knowledge. Knowledge. I said, certainly people who succeed, they know things that other people just don't know. That's why they're so much more successful. I thought knowledge is it. And as soon as I wrote down knowledge in my notes, I crossed it out because that's definitely not it. You got to know better than that. See, if it was knowledge, then everybody who's educated would be successful, and you know that's not true, right? How many of you in this room, how many of you people in this room right now know somebody who should change their life? They know they should change their life. They even know how they could change their life, but they still don't do it. How many of you know somebody like this maybe intimately? Yeah, that's right. So knowledge by itself is not enough. See, knowing is great, but it's not enough. Knowledge is not power. Knowledge is information. Power is something else. And what I think is the really number one key to all success is something I call personal power. This is really it. Jot it down. Personal power. That, to me, is the single number one foundational key to all success. If you use it, you can get everything else that you want. Personal power means the ability to take action, to follow through, to take the steps that are necessary to take an idea and translate it into reality. And it's the number one tool that most people in life never exercise, and it's a gift that every one of us has right now and at any moment in our life. Even if you haven't used this gift for 20 years, right now, by one decision, you could start using your power. You could start following through. You could take this idea in your head and turn it into physical reality. Whether that idea is how you want to make your relationship, or how you want to influence your children, or the kind of money you want to make, or a business you want to start, it doesn't matter. It is available right now. If all you do is decide and then follow through.
Success is individual coming into alignment of your own far-reaching requests. In other words, if you ask for a little and allow it, you're successful. If you ask for a lot and allow it, you're successful. But success can only be measured by how much time you spend inside the vortex. It's not about stuff, you see. Although if life has caused you to ask for that and you're inside the vortex, then you've got plenty of it. And so anytime you see someone who is joyful, we would call them successful. We would call them mostly in the vortex. And when you see someone who is chronically, consistently happy, you can know that the majority, if not all, of what they've been putting into their vibrational escrow is being satisfied. But there are so many things. People use such screwy things as their criteria. It's like sometimes even Esther will say to us, Abraham, you got to give it to me. That person is really inappropriate in that behavior. And we never come out of the vortex and support her in those kinds of conversations. And she'll say, oh, come on, surely you will acknowledge with me that there is something screwy about that behavior. But we never come out and acknowledge that there is something screwy about that behavior, because there is one thing that is always consistent, and that is your emotional guidance system. It will always feel good when you're in alignment with what you want and who you have become, and it will always feel bad when you do otherwise. And so when you learn that, then you have this guidance that you have trained yourself into trusting, and then you always know where you are in relationship with everything else. So then often what happens is Esther will say to us, but Abraham, it's a true thing. It's true. That's why I'm talking about it. It's true. And we say, that's not a good criteria for giving your attention to something. There are plenty of true things that keep you outside of your vortex, just like there are plenty of true things that would take you into your vortex. So the criteria of the truth of something, all truth means is somebody focused upon it long enough and activated it in their vibration long enough that they created it as a reality, and then the statistical historians called it a true thing. And we say there are all kinds of true things that you don't want to experience. So it being true is not a good criteria. And the same thing applies to what is successful. Success doesn't mean somebody getting something that you want. Success means feeling good because you're in the vortex where everything that you want is.
There is one thing that is universal among human beings. That as soon as you figure out, as soon as you admit to yourself, what is that huge thing that you want to do, that you're just going to keep secret until it actually happens, right? As soon as you figure it out, in rush the nose. No way, right? I don't have the money, the experience, the degree, or the time. There's absolutely no way in heck this is happening, right? As soon as you figure it out, in come the excuses. And that is the trap that everybody falls into. As soon as you figure out what you want, in rush the excuses. Well, I'm here to tell you that you can absolutely, no matter what the excuses are, you can absolutely have that bigger thing. And the reason why I know that is because I understand something about change. You have change all wrong. And it's not your fault. I didn't figure this out until a while ago. Or actually until recently, but anyway. You have change all wrong, and it's not your fault. And the reason why it's not your fault is if you think about how we were all raised, we were raised literally in a linear fashion. And we tend to think in a way that you go to step 1 first, then you go to step 2, then you go to step 3, then you go to step 4. You start in kindergarten, right? And you go to first grade, then you go to second grade, then you go to third grade, then you get to middle school, then you go to high school, then you get out, then you go to or professional school or whatever. Some people start a business, you climb the ladder, like you just go one thing after the other. But big stuff, the bigger stuff that you see in your life, it cannot happen if you think you're going to get it going step by step by step. Because if you could solve the biggest problems in life in a linear fashion, Google would already have an application for it. For the students in here, this one's for you. Directions from being a student to becoming successful in the linear order from Google. You just type in, I'm a student now, I want to get to being successful. So obviously what Google's going to tell you is you've got to go to college. And then after you go to college, of course, if your parents will pay for it, you go get a master's. And then you land a killer job. And after you killer job, you put in tons of FaceTime. And then you get promoted to manager. And then you keep climbing the corporate ladder. And 10 years later, you wonder how your first job all of a sudden became your career. And you think, is this what success means? I don't think so. That's why you're sitting in this seminar. So let me show you what nonlinear change means. Because we all hear those terms, oh, think out of the box. But the problem is we're all programmed like Google in order. I spend a lot of time watching my kids play soccer, so I'm going to use a soccer field. Here you are. Do not make the linear mistake of running home and being like, honey, I figured it out. I know exactly what I want to do. I want to be the next barefoot Contessa. Or, oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to start a network marketing company and I'm going to make us millions. Because your spouse is going to look at you and say, no, you're not. You're going to keep that job and those benefits. You are absolutely insane. We need them. You're never going to another one of those leadership conferences again. Stop it with this stuff. If you start marching straight towards that huge thing that you want, what's going to come up immediately are all of the reasons why you can't do it. They're going to be right in your way. And so as you march forward and you hit that thing, off you go. And the other reason why you don't want to march right at it is there's a bigger field to play on. There's so much more creativity if you just don't go straight ahead. And eventually what's going to happen as you pursue this huge thing that you're all fired up about, that you came here today to figure out how to tap into your passion. done, you're going to find yourself totally out of bounds. You're going to find yourself at some point feeling like all hope is lost. You feel like, did I make the worst decision of my life? Am I out of bounds? There have been times in my career, I've admitted to you, I want to be the next Rush Limbaugh. My first radio show was on Sirius satellite radio. I was on for a year. It was wildly successful, a morning drive call-in advice show. They offered me a 3-hour show, and a week later, after the merger, my channel disappeared. And I found myself out of bounds. Like, not only was I no longer like on the field, I was out of the game. I didn't even have a show. And what's interesting about those moments is that if you realize that change is non-linear, you actually realize that you aren't on a field and there's no net. And in those moments where you feel so far away, you're actually so much closer. It's so true in life. That's why there's so many speakers that go up and say, Joseph, when I was about to go bankrupt, boom, then it happened. That's how success happens. You get that close.